tensions are that high in New York City right now. And so we've got, again, Passover begins this evening at sundown, and Columbia University is telling its students not to be careful, but to actually go home. And we will do virtual class at least for the next couple of days because we cannot control the riots and the anti-Jewish protest that are occurring on our campuses right now. And Logan, I mean, this is wild. New York has got a lot going on. You got the Trump trial going on. You've got Letitia James trying to get his bond thrown down. So you've got another trial there. But you've also got multiple universities. It's happening also, it's not just in New York. It's in America's top universities. It's happening at Yale University too, where Jewish students don't feel safe. And these pro-Hamas activist students have decided, let's choose Passover to make this a statement to the world and to the country that we stand with Hamas.
Yeah, I don't even think it's just those colleges. Those are the ones that get attention because they are supposed to be the top, the highest level of learning you could have in the country.
Right.
But they're the ones having to get texts overnight saying, hey guys, I think we need a reset. That's what I believe what the head of was at Columbia said. We need a reset. So everybody take the day. We're going to go. It probably looks like potentially the week of Passover. We're going to find out. But we're going virtual. Thankfully they learned how to do that. They're going virtual for the next day because
during
of
the coming days.
Because of the escalation that's happened at Columbia. Obviously, we saw what happened at Yale as riot police swarmed and got people arrested. Chaos is breaking out. Anti-Semitism breaking out. It's not localized to, this is one incident. Yep. This is not one incident like we brought up the Dearborn, Michigan, where they're chanting death to America. That is not one incident. That's what you hear about. So you hear about Yale, you hear about Columbia, but it's happening across the board.
No, I mean, we've heard it from people who've got their kids at universities all across the country that they are, again, you can hear it outside the university, whatever class you're in. These protests are occurring nonstop. They're going till late at night, and they're utilizing key times and key moments. So these students in New York, they know there's a lot of attention in New York right now. There's the Trump trials in New York right now. There's Passover in New York right now. There's a lot of Jewish students in New York right now. There's a lot of Muslim students in New York right now. So what do we do? With all these cameras, we'll protest. We'll say things that are extreme. We'll go on camera, but it's getting violent, Logan. I mean, we've had people that have been stabbed in the eye that have been on Fox that had to go to the hospital. We're having classes shut down. And effectively, one of the students, I think that was so sad that she said, one of my roommates for 3 years, it's like you've been a roommate for 3 years and they've joined the Nazi party.
That's crazy.
And they were my best friend for 3 years and they went and joined the Nazis. I mean, think about it like that. That's some of these friendships that are breaking up at these universities over, again, they say it's over what happened in Israel October 7th. That was just the moment utilized by these extremist groups to begin this movement.
Right, exactly. It's another politicized moment that can end your friendships, end your relationships, begin this sort of hate towards a group of people. We saw it happen, honestly, in last presidential election, and now we're seeing it on a wider scale. We're actually saying liberals have to deal with it because you're saying a lot of these kids, these are liberal kids. These are not conservative kids who are coming there. These are kids who likely grew up in very liberal homes, very tolerant homes, now having to deal.
Say that New York is no longer a place that's safe for Jewish young people.
The number one place in the world for Jewish people. I think outside of Israel.
Yeah. Really, October 7th, you would not think was the beginning of the moment you would see this hatred of Jews. But what we did say, Logan, was that after about a week, you would have the world kind of feel bad for the people of Israel because of the attacks were so extreme, but that once Israel began to respond to what Hamas did, and this carried over for a week, or then 2 weeks, or 3 weeks, and then it became 6 months, that suddenly the world would turn on Israel. And we've compiled kind of, I think, and our friends at Memory have compiled too, how these protests have gotten so extreme just around New York. I mean, whether it's universities, in the streets, and in the subways.
Repeat after me. We have Zionists. Who have entered the camp.
we're
So
back.
we're shutting down, and Logan, what we're hearing is that more and more common areas are being shut down. Now,
This just came
Columbia sent kids home.
Yeah, Columbia went to full virtual today.
Yep.
Harvard has announced that Harvard Yard, essentially the common areas, have been closed at least until Friday. And the headline on
Does that mean they're going to clear out all the protesters?
Well, I'm on the Harvard Crimson, like their paper, website. It says Harvard Yard closed until Friday in anticipation of pro-Palestine protests. So that is the headline. We'll read more into that. But we're seeing now more and more this happening. Look, we saw it last week. I know we talked about it. You talked about it with Google, where there was the sit-in. And guess what happened? Mass firing of all those people. So maybe we're at the point of mass firing and arrests.
Yeah,
That's what you'd hope.
That's what I think you would hope. I want to go to Harry Hutchinson here because, Harry, you've worked in the university setting, but you said that you believe that really this was all kind of a precursor to something that's been set up against Jewish students and Jewish professors for years, and that this is the culmination of that is what we're seeing at America's top universities, which are making so much news. And by the way, if it's happening at America's top universities, folks, it's happening at every university.
They're just the news gatherers.
Right.
You're precisely correct, Jordan. So what we have in the United States is basically a movement, and this movement has been set in motion over the last several years. So the movement is designed to classify Jews and supporters of Israel as oppressors. And the individuals in Palestine, for instance, the pro-Hamas individuals, they are now classified as what? Victims. And so in our American system, if you are classified as a victim, you gain political and moral power. And so at Columbia, we see individuals who are proudly supporting Hamas, yelling, Al-Qassam, you make us proud. Take another soldier out. We say justice. We say how. Burn Tel Aviv to the ground. Hamas, we love you. We support your rockets too. And so all of this has happened after October 7th, when Hamas launched an unprovoked assault on Israel, and now Israel is seen in the eyes of elites as the oppressor.
You know, I think what is interesting here, Logan, is that, again, you've seen it's taken extreme steps of violence for these schools to even step in. I mean, we've seen presidents of these schools fired.
Yeah, there's actually
because of anti-Semitism. We're seeing schools have to shut down and go virtual because of Passover now this week and protest. Yeah, they have lost control of their campuses. So they are saying two things. We cannot protect our students. We cannot protect our faculty.
Yeah, and I think, look, there's a concern.
If you can't protect your students or your faculty, you have to shut down as a university.
Well, if you coming out of sort of the protest movements in the last handful of years, I think there's also probably concern within the faculty of going, what is our line? Where can we go? Because you don't want to be, essentially labeled as on the wrong side of history, if you will, as a educational board. So you're going, where's our line? It was very clear for them what their line was 4 years ago, or what their line is for specific. That's fine. But when you get this one that gets a little more nuanced.
Yeah, it gets a little more pro-Hamas.
Yeah, a little bit more supporting terror, not just anti-police or something like that.
It calls for the death of Jews.
It becomes a bit harder to deal with. And look, there are 45 colleges right now that the U.S. Department of Education has listed as under investigation for anti-Semitism. 45. I mean, I have the list. I can't read them to you because it would take too long.
And that means that the college itself is doing nothing or is actually fostering.
There's a reason to investigate. There's a reason to investigate. I mean, there are plenty on here. Like a lot of them kind of, as you'd expect, coastal elite kind of universities. And that's just truth. Obviously, if Columbia, Carnegie Mellon, you can go through here, Berkeley. We can go through all of them, but you'd expect me. But 75. I mean, a huge group, or 45. 45 currently under investigation.
Well, the other point I would make is that the Europeans are further along in fostering anti-Semitism. So what we are seeing in the United States, in many respects, just scratches the surface of what's going on in Europe. And so one of the things that I think the American people and supporters of the ACLJ should keep in mind is that this is a particularly important moment in history. And I think the American people should respond to the vitriol and the hatred which is expanding in the world right now. So it is alarming. If you look at what's going on at Yale University, at Columbia, if you look at the Death to America and Death to Israel chants in Dearborn, Michigan. And many elites are basically responding positively to these developments, which suggests that hatred of Jews has now become more and more mainstream.
You know, we have not seen anti-Semitism like this since World War II. It's a moment to defend Israel and Jewish students being attacked, especially right here in the United States on campuses. I mean, they're here at home. The fact is, this is the United States of America where this is happening. We are not reporting about Iran saying, you know, there's these protests about killing Jews. This is New York. This is Harvard. This is Boston. This is in Cambridge. I mean, this is, again, the United States of America. This is our school saying, we can't keep you safe, and it's Passover these next couple of days, so just go and have virtual school because we've got to have a reset on campus. That's what's happening at Columbia. We are fighting back at the ACLJ. You know, we succeeded in securing religious accommodations during Passover at Georgia State University.
We just talked about that. That happened just a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Georgia State said, no, we're going to have exams during Passover. Sorry, Jewish students. And we were able to step in and really very quickly get them to reverse that. So much so that they had to blast it out to their entire student body and say, hey, we will actually be accommodating those. So know that we're on that.
We also got demand letters out to 32 countries calling on them to designate Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard as a terrorist group and impose new sanctions over the direct attack on Israel. Now, Israel's responded. I mean, we've been active there internationally. We've been active in our own schools. But Logan, what is important here is what we're seeing inside our own country, which is this should be a country where whether you're in New York or Atlanta or Nashville or Los Angeles or Kansas City or wherever you are, Chicago, that it should be safe to be Jewish in the United States of America during Passover, even if there's controversy over what is going on in Israel and the Palestinian territories. It should be safe to be Jewish here.